Hello and welcome to Gorilla and the Geek, the podcast for sweaty nerds by sweaty nerds. My name is Kyle from Geeks Weekly, and I'm joined, as always, by my good pal, John the Ginger Gorilla.
What's up, everybody?
And we have a special guest this week, my partner in crime on the Geeks Weekly YouTube and podcast feed, Shawn from Geeks Weekly. Shawn, how you doing today?
I'm good. Hello. Thank you for having me, guys.
Hi, Shawn. Welcome.
Now, any regular listeners to Gorilla and the Geek, if you didn't know, Shawn is our friend, and he's also, again, the person who I run Geeks Weekly YouTube channel with. And he is the resident super duper Star Wars fan. So we figured if we're going to talk Mando, we kind of have to include someone who's a little bit more knowledgeable than John and myself.
Yeah, also, this is a very special episode because it's the last episode of 2020. So, what does that
Thank
mean?
God.
That means our next episode will be in a better year, a better time, and a better place, okay? It's the future, it's 2021, and it's going to be magical. Why? Because it has to be. Because if things keep tracking the way they are, we're getting aliens next year. You heard it here first, folks. Aliens.
Oof.
That's a hot take. but
And then
you're right,
then it's like Star Wars. So,
Man.
it all connects anyway. So then we
Pogs in
predict it.
chat
Then
for
we could say,
2021.
if there is aliens in 2021, that we predicted it with our last episode of the year, doing a Mando episode. Boom.
I got to be honest, though. I don't want to predict that. I want to predict good, peaceful vibes. If
I wanna pre-
aliens
I want to
do
predict being
come-
able to go to the bar again.
Yeah, if aliens do come, spoiler alert for Mando Season 2, starting right now, I'd like them to be a bunch of Grogus. That'd be pretty dope. A bunch of little baby cuties running around who are actually 50 years old, which is kind of like, what's happening here?
Grogu's, frog ladies, just no one with
Ooh.
advanced weaponry.
The frog lady. Oof.
It
Visually
was
speaking.
nice.
No, visually speaking, it's a little striking for the human race to see.
Oh, sure, fine, but
I
we
mean,
got lizard people.
so would
anyways.
a Grogu.
No,
Whatever.
Bro, if an alien came down looking that adorable, you know for a fact it would go viral.
I mean,
We're
you're right.
We'd be simping
One,
hard.
but also, you have to think about that Yoda was also whatever species this is, and you wouldn't classify Yoda as adorable.
No, I'm
And
talking,
if they were the
visually.
ones coming to our planet, they wouldn't be sending the babies. So we'd be getting old grouchy Yodas who are just grouchy. Remember when he was
Talking backwards.
beating Luke with the stick?
You know what?
Look, and R2, yeah, he was coming for everybody with that stick.
I mean, can you
Technically
imagine?
speaking, wait,
Imagine
hold on.
old grumpy.
Wait, hold on. Technically speaking, everyone in Star Wars is an alien. Obi-Wan, Luke,
Yeah,
Mando.
100%.
They're all technically aliens, so one of them could come down looking like us. And
I mean,
maybe
yeah.
she's bad. That wouldn't be too awful. You guys shouldn't say anything. Don't get in trouble.
I want a
allowed to
hot
say that.
alien chick for 2021. Heard it here first.
Wait, I like John's silence. Your silence speaks volumes, my friend. But with that, let's get into the regularly scheduled programming here. We're talking about Mandalorian Season 2. Again, I issued a spoiler warning. We're going full in-depth spoiler territory for the next hour. So sit back, buckle up, hop into our X-Wing, and let's have some fun talking about probably the best thing that any Star Wars thing has produced since the 80s, I would say. I mean, this show, you guys, is miles and miles ahead of anything we've gotten over the past 2 decades with Star Wars. And I don't think it's a bad thing because there's been some good stuff, but it's just that good. And there's even some stuff this season that I wasn't that crazy about. And I still wound up finishing the show, welling up with tears and going, I'm excited for Star Wars in the future again. I felt like I did back in 2015 when episode 7 was releasing. Now, John, I know you were in a similar place with Star Wars that I was pre-Mandalorian. How do you feel now after season 2? Do you still feel as excited as you were after season 1?
If anything, I'm more excited because they're showing that they could keep it up. Especially with obviously all the new content announcements in the Star Wars realm. And as I said in the last podcast, I'm already super duper excited for any of the Marvel products they're putting out. One, because Marvel has hit on pretty much every mark possible. And now Disney Plus and the Disney Corporation are showing like, yeah, we could do these shows things, right? we're pretty good at making content, and we could bring that to our streaming platform and make bangers and bangers and bangers. And I mean, as I said, it's really disappointing that these things were not already in production. Like, that it took 2 seasons of Mando before we have any other show to follow with it. But with that said, I am super excited for those things to come. Um, but yeah, I can't wait because this just, I mean, they killed it yet again in another season. Obviously, just like Kyle said, I have a little bit of qualms here and there with a couple of the things, but I mean, overall, another great season in the books.
Now, Shawn, I mean, no matter what, you're going to be looking forward to Star Wars content because that's one of your maybe like top three favorite uh, genre specific things. Where were you pre Mando with Star Wars, and where do you find yourself now post Mando? Well, post season 2 of Mando, I should say.
So first season Mando came out before Rise of Skywalker, so I found myself in a very hopeful but anxious place, and Mandalorian became the hottest thing I've ever seen. Like very quickly just jumped up the ranks, and then after episode 9 it was pretty much the only thing I was looking forward to with Star Wars.
Mm.
Season 2 has really made me just so happy as a Star Wars fan. I feel so justified in a lot of things that I've seen and rewarded.
That's one of the cool things is that it does feel like it's rewarding the longtime viewers along with showing the way for newer fans. Like we know someone who is currently experiencing Star Wars for the first time, really, and he's watching Mando, and he seems to be really enjoying it. Now, with all that said, let's dive into the actual what the season gave us. So in the season, we wind up seeing the actual completion of the journey to give the child to the person or persons who would be raising him. We find out that the child's name is Grogu. Pretty fun name. And we'll get into who winds up taking Grogu a little later in the pod. Did you guys expect, and we'll start with John, did you guys expect to see the culmination of the journey already in season 2? Did you expect Grogu to be given over to a Jedi?
Um, I didn't think it was gonna be a handover. And that's one of the things I'm kind of sad about because like part of the fun of the show and is having that connection, that bond between Mando, this emotionless um figure, right?
Bounty hunter.
Yeah. And then this little 50-year-old baby, right? Um and the baby also kind of being emotionless in a sense, but also still having to show a little bit of emotion here and there with certain things, and then also having to be codependent on basically one another, right? Because I mean, Grogu saved Mando multiple times now, uh, and I like that bond. And it's I texted Shawn right away actually after the season ended, and I was like, what for season 3? Like, what now? Because I think the show so far has been, oh, it's Mando and the child, right? And that's the bond. Like that's the show, the Mando and the child. And taking the child away, it's almost like, well, I kind of lose a little bit of excitement because I'm like, well, what now? Which is kind of probably my own mindset of just like, uh-oh, can they make it work with a different storyline just off of Mando? That's my thing. Was the cuteness of this child one of the things that made this show a little more popular? And removing the child, will that hurt the show in a sense? Or will that take away a good, like a crutch for those writers to stand on? And that makes me a little nervous. But at the same time, I'm still hopeful because, I mean, they haven't given me a reason not to be hopeful.
It's a really interesting point, and it's an honest one, and something that I've been thinking about as well. And real quick, before I throw it to Shawn, I will say I did find myself feeling a little bit excited to see what the writers come up with, since they don't have the cuteness factor anymore. I mean, that the show became viral because of Grogu. It did. I mean, with Star Wars fans, people that had Disney Plus, of course the show was going to hit because it's really good. But you see memes of what people were calling Baby Yoda for over a year. Of course, they're going to take off.
Mm-hmm.
So, Shawn, same question. Were you expecting to see the culmination of Grogu's journey with Mando? And do you feel a little bit sad that it's over, or are you happy?
I didn't expect it to be a handover as well. I kind of figured that he would decide to hold on to Grogu or at least go with him. So I'm looking forward to see how they handle that in season 3. I think it'll end up balancing it out, and we might see some episodes just from Grogu's perspective and some from the Mandalorians.
Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting. Now, do you guys hope that they? I'll throw it back to you, Shawn. Right now, do you guys hope that they come back together for season at the end of like season 3, and maybe the show continues with them being a tandem?
Absolutely. We've seen what happens to the people that the person that took Grogu in.
Yes. Yes. True.
So I'm just expecting him to not be there long term.
John, what about you?
I mean, yeah, no, I've saw those memes on the internet too. Things might not turn out so well if Grogu keeps hanging around with the riffraff that he's with. But like, my thing is, Kyle, what do you think? Do you think they will be able to come up with a storyline in the season where all of a sudden, like, what are they going to say? Oh, he doesn't need this training, or he's trained within a season? That doesn't seem realistic in the world that they're in. So my thing is, unless the person that he's with is like, it's not Savior, we need to move him. But I don't think this person foreshadowed what eventually happens. So we're gonna be switching things up here, and I don't know how exactly it's gonna work. That's what makes me a little like but I
That's
don't know.
yeah, that's the trouble. So I mean, we could just talk about it now, I guess, because it's kind of unavoidable. So what winds up happening at the end of season 2? Luke freaking Skywalker, comes back, and he's the one who answers Grogu's call, of course, because what other Jedi's are out there really that are bold enough to be like, I'm taking this thing. No one else is getting him. He takes Grogu to learn the Jedi ways underneath Luke. Here's the thing, though. Luke Skywalker, as we all know, if you've watched was it in the Rise of Skywalker they showed that? No, it was in
Last Jedi.
the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
In the Last Jedi, we know that one of Luke's apprentices, one of his apprentices, winds up going full Anakin Skywalker and just destroying the place.
Well, actually, that's not. It wasn't him. So actually, Kylo Ren, Ben Solo didn't destroy Luke's temple. It was Snoke. So basically, Palpatine sent a Force storm, destroyed the temple. A bunch of surviving Padawans are like, Ben, why'd you do that?" He's like, "I didn't do that. Leave me alone. I want to go home now." And they just kept blaming him. They chased him. They forced the fight. He killed them. And then he made the red lightsaber. We get Kylo Ren.
Well, it's very Star Wars like of them to make a story outside of the films, so that casual fans like myself are wrong to the super sweats like Shawn.
And it was only a 4-issue miniseries that ended after The Rise of Skywalker came out in theaters.
Sick. Just, it's funny. After The Rise of Skywalker, we were talking in the car ride home, the three of us and Shawn's girlfriend, and I had mentioned, what's awful is they're going to do stuff in between the movies that gives us more context to the stories that we just won't ever know because we're not going to read the comics except for Shawn. And
Do you think
in real time?
Do you think that's due to improper planning for the movies, though? That they were like, oh, we have to fill in these gaps somewhere, so let's also make money off of it and make the comics? Because
100%.
like with the show, I don't think there's that many gaps, right? Obviously, between season 1 of Mando and season 2 of Mando, there's not like much we're missing. Like, if really, I mean, obviously they could fill things in, but
here's the difference. Shawn, who runs Mando? It's 2 people, correct?
Jon Favreau of Iron Man fame and Dave Filoni, who has been the godfather of Star Wars since like 2013, I think, whenever the Clone Wars cartoon came out.
technically speaking, the Star Wars movies does not have did not prior to this have a Kevin Feige overseeing everything. Now I'm pretty sure they literally have Kevin Feige.
They do, but if they had put Dave Filoni in charge, it probably would have produced the same results we're getting right now.
Boom. John, what
All
were
right.
you gonna say?
Got a great idea. You ready? So we could still get this story maybe of things that go on with Grogu and Luke. You what's it called? What's the word? Okay, you take that storyline, put it in the comics. They could still make their comic money off of it. We don't have to spend trillions of dollars CGIing Luke's creepy face onto Luke's creepy face. And it's easy to draw Luke's creepy face. Boom. And then in the show, that timeline, you just do a little jump skip. Season 3 is all about them getting back Mandalore. At the end of the season, Grogu comes back somehow, trained and ready to go. Or maybe at the beginning of season 4.
I wouldn't be mad.
And
I would rather get a cartoon just so we still get Mark Hamill's voice.
Cartoon!
For sure.
Shawn, look at that. We're coming together. Cartoon is the digital version of comics.
100% better option. Because Mark Hamill, if you haven't watched Batman the Animated Series, incredible voice actor.
Or if you haven't seen Avatar The Last Airbender.
Who is he in Avatar?
Ozai.
No, he's not.
Oh,
Big
wow.
Daddy Ozai.
Wow. Who knew that one of the greatest movie protagonists ever would be some of the best villains we've ever seen in animation? But I digress. Yeah, no. So, like, let me ask you guys this. If we don't get Grogu next season, do we want to see the emotional impact of Mando not having his kid anymore?
Well,
John, we can start with you.
I think that could work because also as I think Kyle said, Grogu is like he could sense people and maybe he could project his emotions out there. Maybe then we could feel Mando like troubled with the idea of one, his kid not being there, him worried, but then maybe he's also feeling the emotions being sent to him of Grogu being sad because he's missing this father figure that he has gained, right? So maybe Grogu's pushing out his also sadness. So now Mando's getting double sadness. And then he also has to fight this war. And I mean, war is war, right? And then he's having to deal with the loss of his child. And man, there's so much emotion that could happen. And then the people, his family that raised him is a lunatic cult. There's so many layers that could be held here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the one of the big things that, and I'll be honest with people listening at home, we recorded more than you're hearing right now. The recording stopped. It was a bit of a panic for a second there, but I think we transitioned quite smoothly. We run a professional operation around here. One of the things we had talked about in the lost portion of this episode,
things you'll never actually see.
Yeah, is the fact that
just like Disney, the comics in between, you'll never see them.
Disney had lost $2.7 million of revenue when the show first premiered because they didn't have the Baby Yoda toys out in time because they did really good planning. But with that, they lost money. We were saying we don't think that they're gonna lose out on that money again by not having Grogu back in the show. So we do hope that he comes back, and we want him to. And we think it wouldn't be detrimental to the storyline. But I do think getting this story of like taking back Mandalore is going to be pretty cool, especially with the Darksaber. It is kind of, you know what? It's kind of refreshing to see a lightsaber being used by a non-force user. Gotta be honest. It's kind of fun. It's pretty cool. I don't think we've seen it in live action Star Wars yet, aside from maybe General Grievous.
Except for that finale and Grievous.
I think we're in a really, really interesting place with the show going forward. A couple of other really cool moments from the season to discuss. Didn't see this coming. We also got the return of Boba Fett. Now, I'm almost positive Shawn knew that was coming from episode 1.
Yeah.
John, did you recognize that was Boba Fett's armor?
So I saw it and I was like, oh, that looks like Boba Fett's armor, right? But then
I'm blind.
But that didn't make me go, oh, well, we must see Boba Fett. I'm just thinking, well, someone else has armor that kind of looked like Boba Fett at one. Like I didn't think that Boba Fett Boba Fett lost his armor. What? Like,
Yeah, that was another thing.
that was weird. But then on top of it, when we went to when we first saw all the Mandalorian cult in their base, I was like, half these people look like Boba Fett. So I'm not knowledgeable enough to distinctly tell, oh, that's a specific Boba Fett look, not just a Mandalorian look. So in my head, I was like, oh, that resemble. I feel like that looks like Boba Fett stuff, but it's probably just a Mandalorian who lost their things. Like I wasn't like, that's definitely what we're gonna see.
Well, one of the interesting things is that he said that it's the armor of his father, but Jango Fett's armor was straight up silver and blue.
Yeah, either Boba gets it like sun bleached, and that's why it's green and yellow, or he just paints it green and yellow. But it's the same armor.
Okay. But Shawn, did you know that we were getting Boba Fett as soon as we saw that?
No, I didn't. Until the end of that episode, I didn't think we were going to get Boba.
Okay. Interesting. And I mean, that really pleasant surprise. The Sarlacc pit did a number on Boba Fett. He aged like milk. But you know, you hate to see it, but you know, he's got the mask on, so we're good anyways. Now, why don't we get into episode 1 and episode 2? Because for me, those 2 episodes were the weakest of the season.
100%. I told Kyle. So Kyle started watching after me, and I was like, look, episode 1 and 2 are a little slow, in my opinion, but it's gonna get a lot better. And he watched episode 1 and 2, and he was like, you're 100% right.
Because episode 1 I think is like 50 minutes, and I wasn't expecting that to start the show off, and I was, and especially because I watched this, we're recording this on Sunday, the 20th, and I watched this on Thursday night, and I was like, I was also doing a present, as I was drawing something for a present as well, so I was like, oh, there's so many things, I don't know if I'm going to get through this episode. I did. The cool thing about the episodes were that they were setup episodes. We get the Boba Fett armor. We also get probably the most handsome Star Wars character ever, and then we get maybe the most bayest of all the Star Wars ladies ever in the second episode, with my girl Sasha Banks. Shout out.
Third episode.
The best nerd episode.
I said that's the third
That's
episode.
the third episode.
Is it the third episode?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Episode 2 was just Frog Lady, so I thought you were going somewhere completely different.
Yeah, episode 2. Oh, that's why I didn't like episode 2. It literally had alien spiders. Now, for those of you who don't know me, it was
horrible.
For those of you who don't know me, I am not a fan of anything bug or arachnid, and that thing was not just things, because they were the babies.
They were babies.
Disgusting, awful to look at. I get that it's like cool, technically speaking, like, oh, Mando's got to run away from. I was grossed out. But again, it's Star Wars monster designs, so that's fine. Shawn, you like those 2 episodes though. But go ahead, John. What were we gonna say?
I was gonna say my biggest thing is it just felt like we were doing the same method over and over. Oh, Mando goes here, helps these people, goes to a new planet. Mando goes here, helps these people, goes to a new planet. And I was like, if this is the whole season, the show's losing it, right?
Before we throw it to you, Shawn, I had actually heard someone say this on Twitter. It kind of felt a little bit RPG-esque, where like Mando's got to do this thing. He's sent to this world. I'll help you, but first you got to do this for me. And those 2 episodes back to back like that did make it feel a little bit tripping at the starting line.
Yeah, but felt like side quests.
Yeah, but he wound up winning the race at the end, anyways. Yeah. But go ahead as to why you enjoyed the episodes.
So episode 2 I could really do without. What I really loved about episode 2 was that it proved that this is a world that he's living in. We saw the ramifications for everything he did in episode 6 of season 1. And then because he was a good guy during all of that, it paid off. I also liked watching Baby Yoda just be a savage and eating the eggs. I thought that was hilarious and also terrible. R.I.P. to that family. Very glad they got a baby.
But it wasn't just those eggs. He also tried eating the spider eggs.
No, he not tried. He ate one.
Did he actually eat one? I couldn't remember. Oh, he's just eating any egg. He's like...
Oh, he's eating whatever. The world is his, and I'm okay with it. I loved episode 1, though, because I just thought that was such a fun episode. I think it finally proved that the Tusken Raiders aren't just savage beasts that have thumbs that work. Like, they're real people with a real language and culture.
Yeah, I mean, they really were depicted as beasts for
Yeah,
like the
I
past
think
50 years.
like Anakin literally committed a genocide that they now remember as a holiday. Like if we don't pray to the god on this day, the dude in the robe with the laser is going to come kill us all tomorrow. And
That's terrifying.
that's dark. That's so dark. And now we find out that like they speak sign language, they have a whole thing going on. And I just really enjoyed watching him and Cobb Vanth team up and fight that crate dragon.
That's fair. But if you watch anything that I produce or listen to anything that I produce, you know that my thing is I always try to come to things from the realm of positivity. Let's talk about some of our favorites from this season. Categories. First one, we just talked about some episodes that John and I didn't exactly love. I want to start with you, John. What was your favorite episode this season?
My favorite episode was, it says chapter 13. It is the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth episode. Yeah, it's when we get Ahsoka, right? And we're battling the lady, right? And she's trying to get this dark saber back, right? And take this stronghold.
wait.
Is it? Is that's the episode, right?
It's not the dark saber. She's just fighting that lady to figure out.
You're right.
She's
She's
liberating
trying
the
to.
town.
Yeah. Sorry.
But she's also looking for information.
Yeah.
And Mando is trying to get
the spear, which I like him fighting with a spear. I like that.
Yeah.
That that you have like this such a basic, I guess, equipment, but it's just made out of something super strong that could take out other things or stop a lightsaber and things.
It's the first weapon that we've seen that can block a lightsaber aside from another lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool.
So that's a lot of fun, but also I was just excited to see a Jedi. And Ahsoka is a Jedi that I actually knew coming into it because I've watched some of the cartoons and whatnot. So I was like really excited to see someone I recognized, and then they did a really great on the character design. You got like that once again, and me and Kyle talked about this last episode. Disney really blows budget, man. Like they're just like, hey, make it look great. Right? Because everything did look great. Like this shouldn't be necessarily a character who looks this well in a TV show, who was really mostly designed in a cartoon. like, and it comes out so perfect and kind of looks natural, right? Like that could be, if an alien came down that looked like that, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense that an alien looks like that, right? So like the character design and then just that whole storyline, I was like, it felt gritty, and I like that. Out of a Disney product, you know.
Yeah, one of the things I liked about the Ahsoka episode was finally seeing, aside from the yellow, seeing a non-blue, red, green lightsaber and purple being used in combat. We saw the white lightsabers and they were super dope. But Shawn, what was your favorite episode?
The Jedi, same one. For a lot of the reasons that John said, but also Star Wars is influenced by a couple of different things. Stories of King Arthur, samurai movies, westerns. And this episode had a fairly standard western cowboy shootout and a samurai duel. It paid homage to most of its sources and inspirations, and I just loved all of that happening.
Yeah, I think my favorite scene was when like Ahsoka was in the woods and she like would fade into the mist. Bro, it was so cool. Like she would like turn the lightsabers off and just like jet around, and like, oh god, man, that episode was done so well. It blew me away, actually.
Directed by our guy Dave Filoni.
Well, that's dope. Awesome.
He created her, so that's like his baby.
My favorite episode is actually episode 8, chapter 16, the finale. Not even just for the Luke Skywalker reveal. I just think it's a really good episode of television. There's so much packed into it. I mean, you have like, it's not necessarily like a ticking clock, but you do have the MacGuffin of the child being held by
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon. You see the Darksaber being used finally. We get a little bit of the explanation behind it. We finally get to see Gus Fring doing some actiony stuff. And in Breaking Bad, that actor does some intimidating things. He also, I believe, I believe he flat out kills someone by stabbing them repeatedly in the stomach and the neck.
Yeah.
At one point in the
Think
show.
so?
Yes, he does.
But at this time, we get to see him like using a sword made of dark laser, and it's so cool.
Made of dark laser.
I was really happy to see that, and again, finally getting to see someone go to toe to toe with a lightsaber, with a non-lightsaber weapon, and something as primitive as a spear.
And it makes sense.
Like it was fun.
It plays into the lore so well with like the Mandalorians being able to stand up to the Jedi to a certain level.
Well, everything a Mandalorian has is to fight a Jedi.
Oh.
They have that that string, whatever, the rope that repels them, binds them. The rockets, there's just so many that come out, like those whispering birds that he shoots out. The flamethrower, it all keeps a Jedi kind of away from him or brings him closer and restricts his hands.
Which, question, is anyone else waiting for him to run out? Because they made a point of the whispering birds. They made a point to say how many he had. And she was like, be careful, there's only so many. So I'm waiting for him to go to shoot it one time and just nothing happen.
Well, that was the thing this season, though, at one point, no?
He only used it once this season, right in the beginning.
Well, didn't someone mention, like, I know you don't have any left in that cartridge?
Oh, actually wrong, Shawn. He used them twice.
Did he?
Yeah, on the oh yes, Kyle, I know what you're talking about. But Shawn, he tried to use it on the what are those? The Iron Man suits, basically. The dark troopers. He tried to use it on a dark trooper, and it hits it and blows up, and it does nothing to it. And then right after that, when he has to fight Moff Gideon, he goes, "I know you only have like a shot." I think he says like a shot or two left. Like,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it was useful there. And I really like that Moff Gideon didn't die.
I love that.
I was worried that they were gonna do it, and that's like the really lazy thing that a lot of people do with these antagonists. It happened a lot when we were younger with superhero movies that the bad guys always died.
That's the Marvel method right now.
Well, it was the DC method for a while too, with some of the Batman movies. Well, I mean, even the ones when we were like babies, they would always die.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we get to see possibly more of him going forward. I was worried that he killed the one Mandalorian. No, not Bo.
Cosca Reeves.
No, he.
There was only the two blue ones.
Bo-Katan? It was Bo-Katan that he almost killed, or that he shot at. I was worried that he killed her. I was like, no. That could be a really interesting storyline with her wanting the Darksaber.
Yeah, no way.
And yeah, so that episode for me was awesome. And then the finale, of course, and seeing him, Mando, unmask himself voluntarily, just so the child knew what he looked like. And the child like touching his face as Mando's tearing up and welling up.
I'm tearing up right now.
It made me pretty emotional. And it was really, really great to see. I love everything about that episode. It was really something special. It was one of those finally emotionally resonant things in Star Wars for the longest time. Maybe the most emotional since Vader's death.
You want to know what could have been emotional? Princess Leia getting sucked out and dying if she all of a sudden didn't save herself by floating through midair in space. Just saying. That could have been unemotional.
Yeah.
Thing.
Luke accepting the saber. There's a lot of things in these movies.
Yeah.
That's like a whole separate other conversation. That
we don't have to.
I'm having a good day. I don't want it to go there.
Next category: favorite supporting character of the season. Shawn, we'll start with you.
Okay, so growing up as a major Star Wars nerd, everyone always talks about how cool Boba Fett is, and I'm sitting here. I've always just been like, he's not that cool. Does one cool thing, doesn't say a word, and then he dies immediately. Dude's a scrub. I'm sorry. I take it back. Boba Fett is the man. He was for sure my favorite supporting character this season.
It was great to like Shawn. I never truly understood the hype behind Boba Fett. Like you're like, yeah, he was there, but then he kind of disappears, whatever. But they didn't really use him to his fullest potential, obviously, because he is a badass. Like he is good at what he does. And literally every aspect of it, like from flying to fighting, he really knocked out of the park, and I'm glad we're getting a show, right? Like, I mean, it's cool seeing some of these people who were built up in the past and being able to be brought back and expand on their storylines that aren't in comics that most of us won't probably read.
So I believe in last pod I said Cara Dune might have been my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
She's cool in this season. I'm a little bit down on her because of the actress who plays her. Gina Carano is now, I believe,
Serrano,
out as in
but
or
okay.
Serrano, who gives shit. To be honest, she's an anti-masker, so
Anti-masker, anti-science.
so beat it, Stinky, for me.
Hey
Big
man,
time.
she got punched in the head a lot. She doesn't know what she's saying.
Well,
That's
and shut up. Don't stop talking. if that's
also
it.
just to say, Boba Fett was
Tough
not
stuff.
my favorite character. I was just bouncing
okay.
off of Shawn. Just
I'm sorry. Oh,
I'll
go
get to
ahead, then,
mine.
John.
No, you finish yours.
Okay. So I was, as a wrestling fan, I thought it was really cool to see Casca Reeves because of Sasha Banks. She did a DDT this season, and I was like, holy crap, that was amazing. But for me, I found the most intriguing character to be Bo-Katan. I think seeing someone, I think number one, seeing a woman be a Mandalorian and almost kind of like disrespecting Mando and his beliefs, I found that really interesting. I love the fact that she wants to be the one who takes back Mandalore.
Oh, I got some fun stuff for you then.
Awesome. And I also love the fact that she's not the one who wields the dark saber. Because now I'm thinking, is she gonna try and just kill Mando at one point?
Yes.
Oof. So we'll get into that in a second. So that's why she's my favorite character outside of the Mando and Grogu for this season, because I think she brings the most intrigue into the show for the future. John, what about you?
My favorite is, sorry, just 1 second. 1 second. One moment. I'm
Who's the
sorry.
actor?
Names?
Mayfield.
I knew it. Miggs Mayfield. Just tell me Bill Burr, man. I got you. I
Yeah,
told you.
yeah.
It's all up in here.
And I don't know if it is because it's Bill Burr and I'm a fan. I'm like a personal fan of Bill Burr. I like his podcast. I like his podcast with Bert Kreischer. Like, I listen to a lot of Bill Burr. But just the them building on his story in the second season after they made him seem like a bad guy in season 1, and then you kind of like you kind of fall in love with his character during this season to see that he has heart. Like, he blows up and he's like, I need to be able to sleep at night, man. Like,
what he did was really terrible. That Operation Cinder.
Yeah. But then it goes to show
stuff.
one of the things that it's like, at the time I thought I was just doing my job, and he's like, now I know, like, I did a lot of horrible things that I would kind of want to make up for. And one of the things which I feel like I'll get to it a little more in a moment is I want to see like the whole thing with Mando, as I said earlier, going to a planet and we meet new characters every single episode. I'm tired of that. I want a consistent cast a little bit for this new season. Like, I want to build relationships between people and have at least maybe a season with like a lot of similar characters. Whether that is the Mandalorian, like the other Mandalorians and Mando. If we keep Cara Dune in it, if not, whatever. If we bring Mayfield back somehow, like or Boba Fett maybe stays in, even though I think he's gonna have his own show, so he probably won't be in this. Whatever, right? Like, I just want to have like a consistent group of people that you could build relationships on and have like story arcs, because that's what the show kind of does lack. As Kyle I said with season 1, it's not a super heavy show, but now that we're getting into the later seasons, make it a little heavier, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's add a little more oomph to it, like make it feel weighted. Because if we just keep it kind of surface level, it's gonna get boring. And with season 1 and 2, it is getting deeper, I believe. I think season 2 is deeper than season 1, with a lot of the content they got to and some background storylines. But I really like the whole Mayfield storyline and he was the first human or sentient being, because I guess a robot's not sentient. I don't know, whatever. To actually see Mando without I mean, kind of like who knows Mando and see him without it. And he's like, man, I didn't see it. Like, just put the helmet. This didn't happen. And that's cool to see. Like, I loved it. I love that storyline. And I like that character a lot.
Yeah, that was a great one. Shawn, really quick, you wanted to say one or two things.
So
Quick
yes,
fire them.
Operation Cinder happens after Death Star 2 blows up in Return of the Jedi. Palpatine had uploaded like AI versions of himself into robots, and they basically gave the order to torch, destroy, and kill anyone that knew anything about Palpatine. This way, none of his plans could come out post his death. So,
Okay.
oftentimes, what we saw was the city where he's from on Naboo was bombed, factories destroyed, people killed needlessly, and that we find out that that's what Bill Burr was doing.
Oof, yikes.
That's why he wanted to kill that officer, because the officer gave the command.
And didn't
Wow.
regret it, obviously. He was like, well,
Clearly.
things have to happen.
Man, other category, most shocking moment. Real quick, are we all agreeing that it's Luke Skywalker coming back?
Oh, 100%. I don't think you could have a different shocking moment in this season because if you somehow predicted this, then you need to gamble a little more.
People did on Reddit.
Yeah, but those people are like some people. I'm pretty sure have sources before
Either
they
that
do
or
this
they
stuff.
just want wish fulfillment, so they just throw it out there.
Yeah.
Before the last category of would the season of television have worked as a film, Shawn, real quick fire, maybe a minute or two for each. Why should we be excited about either the Boba Fett show and the Ahsoka show?
Okay, so you left out another show too, Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka.
Oh yes, I said Ahsoka.
Yes, but those two are gonna tie into a series event with the Mandalorian. So immediately, that's why you should be interested. Rebels ends with young Ezra Bridger taking out
Spoilers.
spoilers, yes, taking out a guy named Thrawn. The two of them are now missing, even up until this point, and that's why Ahsoka's final line in the episode, maybe not final, but she says, "Where is Thrawn?" So we know that she's looking for Ezra. She's looking for Thrawn. Thrawn is at this point the biggest threat to the Republic. Had he not been taken out, the Empire probably would have won throughout episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Jeez.
So Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka will probably all be leading to that with the Mandalorian. And then you should be excited about the Boba Fett, because if you're tired of seeing Jedi and you just want to see people do scummy, villainy, rogue stuff, watch Boba Fett, man.
I like it.
So
awesome.
is Boba Fett going to be a good guy or a bad guy?
He's going to be his guy.
Yeah, I think he's a tweener.
I think he's taking over the Hutt cartel and maybe just running bounties and stuff.
That's really interesting. I want to see.
I'm really glad that he killed that slimy, disgusting mother trucker.
Bro, I'm surprised that dude was even alive.
Do you know what? Do you know what I think Disney needs to do? Maybe with that Boba Fett show, they need to make something like darker. Like, be like, this part is not for kids, right? Take this property and have an adult, like, almost. It doesn't have to be crazy, right? Like,
well,
but
I'll say this: they kind of alluded to it being darker with Boba Fett because he literally was smashing people's skulls in.
Oh, you saw
That's
the bits
true.
of the helmets flying off.
I don't think that was all bits of helmet. I think some of that might have been skull. I gotta be honest with you guys. But keep going,
But
John.
I think that would be a great marketing plan because like, there might be people who are like, oh, I buy Disney Plus for my kids, right? I don't want to like just watch all these cartoons. You need to diversify your palette a little bit, right? Like, maybe and then on their account system for Disney Plus, maybe set it up so like, when this is my kid's account, they could sign in. They could only access this content. This other content doesn't even show up. Where then I have an adult account and now I get this other stuff. That might be a
put
little
like a pen in.
prettier. Yeah. The adult account has a password, right? Or something.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, this is just hopeful thinking. It's still a Disney corporation product, so I don't know if they'll ever want to put something at that level. I don't know what the darkest thing Disney's done.
I'm gonna say this:
except for maybe their past.
The Clone Wars features scenes in which Ahsoka decapitates people.
Okay, that's very
She
interesting.
jumps up, lightsaber swing, and then camera pans to the floor, and you just see helmets hit the ground.
Hmm.
Helmet,
See, but
Wow.
multiple. There's like
but
six
that's
that
the
hit
thing.
the ground.
it's helmets, you don't actually see like a head, right? Because
Yeah,
a head
helmet
is
falls
super
this way,
dark,
body falls the other way.
but a helmet is like, oh well, maybe she just knocked the helmet off.
Well, to be
Like,
fair, we've seen
obviously
people
she
in
didn't,
Star
but
Wars get cut in half.
Yep, and
yeah,
also come back from getting cut in half.
True.
yes.
Hopefully not Snoke though.
He was all clones. He doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, true. I don't want to
But
think about that.
it would be interesting to see something a little darker. I mean, if they don't do it like crazy dark, because there are dark undertones, obviously, right? Like that whole Operation Cinder Shawn just said. Yeah, that's a dark thing, but it's an undertone. Like I would like to see a series that's kind of like ooh, or like gritty and like kids shouldn't be watching this.
Yeah, I agree. Lastly, before I throw it to Shawn for maybe some tidbits that we missed, do you guys think that this season of Mando would have worked well as a film? We'll start with John.
Once again, I think if you have the storyline built out, yes, right? Like they had an idea of what they wanted to do. It would have been a slow beginning, just like it was anyway. But it makes me go to say I wish the season was longer, possibly. 8 shows just feel so quick, right? I 8 shows doesn't feel like enough. It's super, yeah, 8 episodes. It feels super short, especially now, like where a lot of things are, most things are 10. I'd like the 12 range if we could get there. But maybe it's because they are doing so much other content. Like, I mean, Disney did release. How many shows are we getting now? We have
There's 12 Marvel, I think.
12 Marvel. How many of the Star Wars are we getting? 4 or 5? Like
6 or 7.
oh,
Doesn't say-
6
yeah, I
six
thought
or
it was only
7.
5.
So
Mhm.
in total, 18, 19 shows. So maybe it makes
Call it 20 to be safe.
yeah,
Yeah, let's
maybe
round up.
maybe the 8 episodes I'll be like, oh thank God I have time to actually breathe before I have to watch something else. Like,
Mhm.
and once again, as I said with Kyle, it makes me super excited for this podcast and that we've gone into this lane of watching content and talking about it. And now Disney's like, here, this is for you guys. Here's something you can keep doing your podcast on. I just hope they release it in a timely fashion, right? Because just because they announced it doesn't mean anything. Because as we know, they've announced a lot of this Marvel stuff, and I'm still waiting.
True. Shawn, what about you? Do you think this would have worked well as a movie?
It would have been a rushed. There's a lot that got introduced in a particular way. I think introductions would have been a little sloppier, and I don't think we would have gotten 20 minutes of Boba rampaging.
True.
And I think we needed that 20 minutes of Boba rampaging.
Yeah, especially for guys like you and me who were always like, Boba's okay.
Yeah, exactly. To sell him and then his show, we needed that 20 minutes of him rampaging.
Really, really cool. And I'm glad they cleaned up the armor because it had all that like bird shit on it.
Oh
that
yeah,
I
this is
didn't-
the first time. This is the first time I've ever thought he looked cool or just was cool.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
100%. I think this wouldn't have worked as well as last season as last season as a movie. I think works phenomenally.
Perfect. Oh, perfect.
This season, the ending would have been, would have still been great, but I think the build up to it might not have been as good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. As Shawn pointed out, there was way too much, too many character introductions for them to actually give an explanation of these characters, and then you would have been like, why did we jam pack everything? What is this, Spider-Man?
No, it would have it would have felt like the Rise of Skywalker.
Is this a Snyder sandwich?
But with that said, I do want to point out one thing that I noticed as a tidbit. Luke finally got his hallway scene.
Oh
yeah.
Luke finally got a hallway
like
scene.
son.
Yeah, and it was epic, dude. He was throwing body parts at people. I loved it. It was that scene. I love a good single person, just a Jedi slicing people up. Like just a well choreographed, a well choreographed scene. I mean, still one of my favorite fights, even though it was in a great movie, was when Rey and
Kylo.
Kylo. I couldn't think of his name. Jesus, I'm really trying to block things out here. When they're in the chamber and they're just doing like back to back like lightsaber work.
Super
I want to
sick.
see, like, that's what Disney needs to do. They need to hire, and I think they're doing a really great job, because even, like, as I said, my favorite episode was one because a Jedi was kicking ass with Ahsoka. I want to see Jedi just slicing and dicing. Like, that's what we need to see. That's what we're here for. And I want them to hire whoever choreographs John Wick movies and put them in this and just have amazing fight. And I think they do have amazing fights. I mean, once again, we start the season off, another parallel between season 1 and season 2. You start the first episode off with a awesome Mando fight scene in a area. I like that. Start every season off like that, just to have one little thing that's like, I can't wait. Here's the fight scene. We know we're watching Mando. Because that's just like a small thing that's kind of fun.
Shawn, before we get out of here, any other tidbits that maybe the casual might have missed?
Yes. So Ahsoka's head tails were shorter, and fans are angry about this. Get over it. You gotta do stunt work and be realistic, okay? Star Wars fans, calm down. She can't have head tails that go down to her waist. I'm sorry. She can't move.
Cool.
She can't move. Second, in that episode with Mayfeld, when Pedro Pascal removes the helmet, look at the way he moves. He doesn't know how to look at people. He can't use his peripheral. He has to look at you dead on.
Whoa, because the helmet.
I was wondering that. I was like, I wonder. I don't want him to show any emotion because he never has to. Like, he never has to show, like, any body language with his face because he doesn't know how. Like, he doesn't know how to. He shouldn't be able to communicate that way. He might be able to pick it up on other people, but doing it himself, he's really not making faces.
Was like, hey man, you're getting too hot. Calm down. We need to get out of here. And he just looked uncomfortable the entire time.
Any other ones?
No, I went over all the other like background nerd stuff.
Awesome. And John, unless you have anything else to say, I think that'll do it.
I think that's it. Once again, guys, I'm so excited for any of these new Disney product shows that they're putting out. I was super like bummed by Disney Plus, but now I'm like, yeah, Disney Plus rocks.
Here's a theory I have moving forward. One of the Star Wars shows announced was a droid story. No information was given, except R2-D2 and C-3PO lead a new hero on a journey. It's got to be Grogu, right?
Oh.
Right?
It could be. You're right.
That could be fun.
That might be it.
That could be fun.
So
yeah,
that's just something to look forward to. Makes my least looked forward to show pretty high up there.
Gotta say, C-3PO with like an adolescent Grogu, like a terrible twos age.
Oh, that could be great.
That could be pretty fun.
And C-3PO already barely deals with R2. Like, it's just hilarious.
Oh,
and
man.
R2 could be like the good guy parent. C-3PO is kind of like the strict one. I think it could be fun. Good idea.
R2 is a wine mom for sure.
A big wine mom energy. And with that, that'll wrap it up for us here on this episode of Gorilla and the Geek. Thank you guys so much for watching and or listening, depending on how you're viewing this pod. We've had a lot of fun. Shawn, since you are the resident Star Wars fan, I want you to tell people where they can find you in case they want to reach out and have conversations with you about this.
Yeah, so my handle is Shawn C SHAWN the letter C 529. Hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, anywhere you want to talk about Star Wars. I want to be there.
John, where can people find you?
As always, Ginger Gorilla Gaming. If you look for the logo or this logo, and if you see that logo, it's mine. So Ginger Gorilla Gaming. Search for it on any Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I've gone to the communistic side.
Oh my God.
I'm not too proud.
I'm
not cutting anything. We all know what the company is. Don't act like we don't. And
I don't agree with him.
you search for it, you find it, you know what to look for.
Geeks Weekly does not stand with that viewpoint.
Kyle, what about you?
So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Buff Charmander. You can find me on YouTube and via podcast feed, Geeks Weekly, youtube.com/Geeks Weekly. You can also find Shawn there. He's got some videos coming out next month, which I am working on. You can find us eventually on TikTok as well. We're just kind of thinking
We're
of
supporters of it. They're great people.
we're just thinking of some content to put on there. We're doing
debating
some-
it.
some
First one's
theory
gonna be a
crafting.
banger.
It's got to be a banger. And yeah, make sure to reach out about any of the content that we talk about on any of the platforms. I think we got a pretty cool squad of just some fans
Nerds.
wanting to talk about stuff. You know,
We
Yeah,
love
bunch of
we love
nerds.
our nerds, guys.
Yes,
Let's get
sir.
sweaty. I'm already getting hot in this room that I'm in.
I've been
So-
sweaty since we started.
So you know
Yeah,
how
same
it
here. I
is.
thought I had a pit stain, but no.
You're getting
Can't show
nerdy
it.
when you start to sweat. Hands, feet, armpits,
I
brow.
get in between the fingers.
I really hope no one's eating while listening to this. Thank you all very much for
Thank you.
watching and or listening.
And thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, Sean.
Long
thanks for-
time listener,
thanks-
first time joiner.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being on retainer. And guys, I hope you enjoyed. Don't click the subscribe button. Follow us on any podcast app that you like to listen to. And review, guys. If you are listening and you made it this far, that means you probably like the sounds of our voices. Leave a review. Will help us get out there a little bit and spread the word. If you think you have any other nerds who might want to listen to us talk about TV shows or any other nerdy content, we're you guys. This is
Great
what
call
we
to
do.
action, John. Great call to action. And also, because of the time this is coming out, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, have a happy holidays and a safe one as well. I think we said we're not coming back till next year, right?
Yep,
the first week of-
2021.
So if you celebrate Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. And for everyone, have a Happy New Year. I hope 2021 is a much safer year and one that we can all be very sweaty during.
Let's get to the movie theaters again, people.
And with that being said, again, thank you all very much for watching and listening. See you next time.
Peace out,
Bye.
everybody.